Okay, today's mission is to expand my QNAP storage array on my backup QNAP. I've logged into it and there are errors and warnings and stuff all over the place. If I go into the system health, I'm getting warnings for the volume is nearly full, threshold reached, all this kind of jazz. Come into here, I'm well over my threshold. To be honest, I've known about this for a little while, but I've been ignoring it. I've knocked the threshold up from about 70%, 80% up to about 90%, and then I'll just continue to ignore it on the basis that a couple of terabytes left on a 40 terabyte volume is still a load of space. And if I go and have a look at the storage and snapshots, a lot of the space that's being taken up is actually being taken up by snapshots. So there's 5 gig of snapshots here, so as and when it needs space, what it's doing is it's deleting the older snapshot to free up some space. The only real issue with that is that this is my backup device, and I kind of wanted this one to have the greater number of backups on it, and kind of limit the number of snapshots that are taken day by day. So it's not doing hourly snapshots. I wanted to keep it to like daily, weekly, monthly. As a bit of a fallback, so if I needed a file back from like 10 months ago, this is the device I would have come back to. But as it started to run out of space, the number of snapshots it's got on it have dwindled, basically. Just coming in to have a look to see if I can find where the snapshot history is. The other thing I've been doing is I've been reducing the guaranteed area that's been available for the snapshotting. I started off at like 15 or 20%, and then I've gradually reduced it bit by bit to 10. So after I've expanded the volume, I'll turn the guaranteed space back up again. So what I need to do now is go in and see what little landmines QNAP have left for us, because I've never been particularly successful with these. In the end, I've always resorted to blowing the array out and rebuilding it, which I don't really want to do, unless I absolutely have to. I got caught out on one of the older QNAPs where it was so old it had been built with EXT3, which was the only option at the time, and I've replaced the disks and went to expand it, and you got to the last point in the thing in the wizard, and it was like, you can't expand this because it's EXT3, not EXT4. And I was like, great. So what I have is the hard disks here are all 18 terabyte drives. The ones that are in use at the moment is hard drive 1, 2, 3 and 4. I've put 5 in today, so 5 is actually a blank drive. It's unallocated, not being used at the moment. Ports 7 and 8 are 240 gig SSDs, which are being used for cache. So if we look on cache acceleration, there it is. It's not showing as 240 gig drives because formatted they're less than that, and I've got 10% over provisioning to try and extend the life of the drives. So let's go to storage and snapshots. In fact, this is actually going to show us what drives are in what slots. So drive 1 good. It shows as 16.37, but it's not, it's an 18. That's good. Good. And 3. These are set up RAID5. I would probably ideally be doing RAID 6 on it, but you get the write penalty on that, and this is actually the backup QNAP. So I've got another one of these which is identical. I think these are 873s. Yeah, TS-873s. I've got another identical one here, and then this one is at remote site, and the data's backed up, so I've got like lazy RAID 1 between the devices, because everything that goes onto one device is immediately copied to the next one. I use Resilio Sync to hop the data from one to the other, and I've got a 500 meg symmetric broadband here, and the other site has got 100 meg. 70 meg, probably 100 meg symmetric fibre. So it's like having a little LAN that runs between them, so as fast as data gets updated here, it gets updated on the backup device, and the backup devices independently run snapshots as well. Veeam backups that are running on my server back up to my main device using into one repository, and then to this backup device using another repo, and I run Tailscale overlay VPN between the two and the backup server, so the Veeam server sees them as two LAN repos and they back up to them reasonably quickly. So even though they're two independent units, the data's moving quite quickly. So I'm not worried about not having RAID 6 on either of these devices, because all of the data is on both machines. So I'm going to expand this volume that's on these 4 drives to now include the 5th drive, if QNAP will let me. So I assume we do this at the storage pool level. I'm going to go to manage. Is it going to be an action or is it going to be a manage? What do you reckon? Are we going to manage? This separation between things here is really confusing sometimes. I think it's an action. Action to extend the pool. Okay, let's do that. And I imagine this is going to take it offline for a little bit as well. Okay, so we're not going to create and add a new RAID group. No, we're not doing that. Add a new disk to an existing RAID group. Yes, we're going to do that. And it's to RAID group 1. It's the only RAID group on there. And next. A task associated with the selected RAID group is already running. Wait until it's finished and try again. RAID group is scrubbing 19.3 terabytes. 19.3%. So that's going to take ages. So can we bin that off? Cancelled. That cancelled nice and quick. I wonder what the next surprise is going to be next. Okay, so this is where we select the extra drive. So SATA hard drive 5, good. That's the capacity. Next, expand. All the data on the select. Oh, okay, that's fine. The selected disk. So the drive that I've selected is going to be erased. Well, there's nothing on it anyway. So yeah, okay. I thought it was going to erase everything on the existing volume, and I thought that's a bit rubbish. But no. Well, we'll see if it does, eh? Yeah. I think this is probably going to take more than a few minutes. $7 meg of data coming in, 5 meg of data going out. Started expanding. Please wait until the pool expansion task has finished before expanding a volume. So is that going to show up as a pending device, a pending job, do you reckon? There's no background tasks running. Maybe it's a foreground task. Well, that's still showing us 49.9 terabytes. Is this increasing? No. Ah, here we go, background task. It just seems to be a little bit of lag doing this. Okay, so this looks like this is going to take about a month to do. Is it going to start? We're going to at least get a 0.01 and then I'll pause the video and leave it for a couple of days, I reckon. Let me pause the video and let's come back when it's got some kind of reasonable estimate as to what the time frame is going to be. Let's use my magic pause button. Okay, so it's been running for a couple of minutes now, and it reckons it's going to be about 5 days. I'm interested to see if the volume is actually accessible at the moment, or whether I'm not going to have any backups for the best part of a week. Now it looks like my data's set, so that's good. So I might just leave this running for a couple of hours and see if the time frame comes down. Or I wonder whether there is a setting in here which can be used to accelerate the speed, because you can adjust the priorities here. In case of RAID Group 1, the rebuild, migration, scrub and sync policy is set to medium speed, so let's set this to high speed and we'll see if that makes a difference. I'll have to remember, probably when I'm watching this video back on YouTube, I'll probably remember to set that back down to medium. But I'm keen to see whether that makes a difference to the time it's going to take to add this data in. But it's interesting to see that the volume is still available while it's doing that, so use of a device isn't going to be curtailed in the interim. Right, let me stop the video now and I'll come back to this in a little bit and see if it's revised its timing at all. Okay, so I've left it running for about half an hour now, maybe a little bit longer, maybe 40 minutes, and I've seen the time remaining jump everywhere from 1,300 and something hours down to what is now seems to be settled at about 68. So I guess I'm going to come back to this in about 3 days and see how it's getting on. So I will resume this video in 3 days or thereabouts. Okay, so fast forward more than a week and the expansion of the RAID5 is completed. Now it didn't take it a week, it took about 3 days, so I just haven't had time to come back to this to record a video of the new expansion. So we're still getting an alert here to say that the volume is at threshold. Still got 1.83 terabytes, which is a lot of space, but not of a near 40 terabyte volume. So that's why it's complaining. So what we're going to do now is take a look in the storage and snapshots and see what we've got going on. So I can see here that we've got some free space, 16.6 terabytes. That's this grey area here. Defending provision volume is this blue area, and then snapshots is here. So what I'm going to do now is go into storage and snapshots and have a look at the volume here and manage the volume, and this should allow us to expand it. I do like the old history of the volume you get here, showing you what your threshold is and where you are. You can see it build up over time. If you look over the last year, so it's gone up in big chunks here. That's gone up quite quickly when it's leveled off and dropped, and then whatever's happened here is put a truckload more data on, and it's gone up quite quickly over the limit. So it's pretty cool that you can look at your history of your data building or your data hoarding, which is what I seem to be doing. Okay, so what we're going to do now is look to expand the volume. Not remove. I thought I said resize them, but that's the one underneath. Let's not remove the volume. Just waiting for the gotcha. QNAP have normally got a gotcha waiting for me whenever I do one of these jobs. Right, so we're going to take it from 40 terabytes. I wonder what the maximum pool capacity is. 55.1 terabytes. I don't think we're going to take it that big. Let's put it to 50. Let's put it to 50 terabytes. Oh, I wonder if we can just type 50 in that. There we go. 50 terabytes. That just leaves a little bit of headroom later to expand it again if I need to. Right, so what do you reckon is going to happen when I click apply? Is it going to come up with an error message? Nope. It just went, okay, I'll do that. And he's doing it quite quickly too. Nice. Let's see if the volume is still online while it's doing that, even though it looks like it's doing it quite quickly. Do we actually still have access to the data? Because in doing this I haven't actually lost access to the data once, which is pretty good actually. When in this day and age you shouldn't really lose access to the data. It doesn't look like I can access it now. Snapshots are there. Yeah, okay, so the expansion of the volume appears to knock it offline while it's doing it. Adding the extra drive to the RAID, the data remained available, but you might want to plan for the volume or the data on the volume to be unavailable whilst it's actually doing the expansion. I wonder what that's what the file station says. I wonder what the Resilio says, which is the program I use to synchronize my data. That's saying that the data is still there. Not that it's probably doing anything at the moment. 1140. Yeah, it is actually doing something. So it looks like the data is unavailable in the interface. Let me just check on this machine if I can access it from my desktop. The data is fully accessible from my desktop. So I've got a share map. So it's inaccessible from within the file station on the actual QNAP itself, but on my desktop, and I'm doing it in another window, I can actually see all of the data absolutely fine. I can open it fine. You just have to take my word for it at this point. There it is. So that's set at 68.3% for a little bit. So I don't like it when I don't give you an estimate for how long it's going to take. At least adding the disk to the RAID 5, it sort of gave an estimate. It was 100 hours, but it's 70 odd hours or whatever it was. But it's at least it gave an expectation. This is 0 to 68% in about a minute, and then who do they think they are? Microsoft, doing one of the old installs of the old setup processes where it was 0 to 99% in 1 second, and then sits at 99% for 20 minutes. Well, let me pause the recording and then we'll see how long this takes. But I'm reassured that I can access the data through Windows file browser. I don't really use the file browser on the QNAP anyway, but it's a bit suspect that you can't access the data on it. So right, I'll just pause recording for now and I'll come back to this in a moment. So I think that took about 15 or 20 minutes to get past the 68% mark, and then it went straight from 68% to pretty much finished. And now we're optimizing the volume. And again, that's going quite quick. The bar graphs at the end here I've also readjusted without having to click refresh. I've not clicked refresh, so it's showing me that I've got some 12.68 terabytes free, which is the 2.68 that was there before, plus the 10 I've added. So it's about 25%, 25.46% free space. Now I'm keen to see if the data is now visible again in... Yeah, okay, so there the data is back visible again in the file station. So data was visible previously when I added the drive to the RAID 5 while I was rebuilding the RAID 5 to incorporate the extra disk, but expanding the volume stopped this from working. I don't know, maybe that's a bug, maybe it's not. It was only unavailable for 15 or 20 minutes, so you wouldn't be able to use it in the file station, but the shares were still working and my Resilio sync synchronization software was still working as well. So I think we can chalk that one up as a win, actually, because that's the drive added, the volume size increased, all without downtime. So yeah, job done.